So I want to just make a quick video. Not going to take really too long on this one, like most of the others that normally run about anywhere from 15 to 40. About the longest I've done is about 45 to 50, I think maybe a couple of times. This one's going to be a pretty quick one. So in some of my other videos, I've pitched my view on a good way to try to fix trade relations, or what needs to be done about trade relations. We can't keep letting countries like China just take complete and full advantage of us. And that's something that definitely needs to be done about that. And of course, I've pitched my theory, and I would like to lean towards more of a, Keynesian economics, even though I also think you kind of have to have some of the, supply side economics built in with it. Not necessarily through direct tax cut. At the end, the tax cuts would go to businesses, and or not necessarily through the businesses, but the people who'd be starting the business. If you kind of get where I'm going, that's not wealthy people across the board. It would be to business and to people who want to invest and start businesses, and these need to be tax cuts that would be worth their while to start. However, there's catch-22s with these tax cuts. You only can get them if you do a couple of things. Provide great health insurance, if you're able to do that. Now, if you're a small business and you can't, that's perfectly fine. Smaller businesses shouldn't be overly taxed anyway. I'm talking about big, large corporations like Amazon, for example, Walmart. First of all, you have to pay what the state you open the business in. Each factory, each plant, the state is going to determine what a livable wage is for that state. And if you pay your workers a livable wage, we'll give you a big, nice tax cut in return for it. If you try to lowball your workers, well, we're going to put some pretty high taxes on you. So it's in your best interest to do right by your workers. Of course, if you outsource jobs and you try to go somewhere else for just cheap labor all the way around, you want to bypass our system, you're going to be met with tariff taxes at the border, because you're not just going to, open up a company in this country and then when it benefits your bottom line, put thousands and thousands, if not millions, of American workers out of a job. So things like that, in my opinion, would have to be done. And that's kind of the problem. You need the supply side to incentivize the creation. You need the Keynesian or demand side economics to help the worker. And you kind of have to blend the two together in a nice, happy medium. That's the way I see it, coming from the blue-collar background. I'm no economic expert, but I've read both. I've seen what both are supposed to do. And the problem with the whole Keynesian economic theory right now, and the good you would get from it, is just simply the fact that the theory was we reinvest into the economy by purchasing domestic products, which just really don't exist anymore. It's all coming from other countries. So it's really not funding American, plants and products the way it did when that, economic theory was first used in this country. We actually did buy a lot of stuff that had Made in USA stamped on the back. And even now, if you get Made in USA, until Trump changed it, only 50% of it had to be made in the USA. Now it has to be 75%. But nonetheless, I want to say first and foremost, I do not want anyone to take me out of context on this. I'm not a socialist. But I'm also not a full-blown, die-hard capitalist, and capitalism can do no wrong either. Fundamentally, I do agree with the idea of capitalism. Developing business, being an entrepreneur, working your way up the ladder, so on and so forth. The problem is that capitalism also has tendencies to get dark and corruption. It gets a lot of dark corruption involved in it, and sometimes that doesn't, the people at the top of the chain tend to not always want to give the people on the lower levels their due reward for their hard work. You get into the right kind of a capitalism system, workers can be just stepped on like ants and used and abused at the moment's notice, put out of work, jobs get outsourced, or they just simply keep wanting to give you cheap labor because they can get away with it, and other countries that don't have the benefits we have in this country, they're going to use that as the reason to why they keep the jobs here. Oh, we want to pay the workers dirt cheap. So you got to have protections in there for the workers. You got to have protections in there for the people trying to make an honest living to put, bread on the table at night. Okay? And one thing that I've pointed out to people when I pitch that idea of basically, using the bully pulpit, for example, okay, and telling these companies, hey, this is the United States of America. We want you here. You got to be a team player. You got to respect your workers. You got to take care of your workers. You got to help contribute back to this American economy. Okay? You're not going to go help out China and expect you're going to get, this lopsided trade deal to just work your way. Screw all the American workers. Screw us. We'll put tariff taxes on anything you want to make. You're not just going to jip us over and hurt the people of this country so you can make more money. It's just not going to happen, man. Not going to happen. You want to start your business here? You want to start businesses here? We'll incentivize that. We'll give you tax cuts. Make it worth your while as long as you do these things for your workers. That way they have money in their pocket, and more things can be made in this country, again, because we're going to start using tariff taxes so that our American-made products are back on the market, and the foreign-made products can't lowball American-made, therefore the price stays competitive, and to counterbalance that price change, American workers will have more money in their pockets. And if they need anything extra, that would be the perfect time for something like a stimulus package to the American people instead of investing money into more disastrous foreign wars and regime change. Okay? So, but when I pitch an idea like that, I've been given some criticism, not just in comments on the YouTube channel, but just in personal conversation. People want to say, oh, well, that's socialism. That sounds like a socialist idea. That sounds like a socialist idea. Look, it's like this, okay? Call it what you want. I'm not a socialist. But if it's a socialist idea, and you think it's a socialist idea, here's my response to you. Oh, well, it's a good idea. It's an idea that helps the people of this country, helps the workers of this country, gets rid of all this lopsided trade deal. We start making American product competitive again. We get more money back into the American people's pockets that they can reinvest into this economy and live comfortable, happy lives. And corporations stop just dumping cheap labor on people and paying wages people can't even live off of. Okay? So call it what you want. But if you really want to say that any socialism-based concept is this boogeyman and this devil, again, I'm not a socialist. But, for example, I would just like to propose a couple of things to you, the viewers. You decide which side of this boundary you fall on. Are you for it or are you against it? And I won't bring up Social Security. Even though I agree with the concept of Social Security, the federal government has absolutely bankrupted Social Security. And most experts say it's basically like a running Ponzi scheme right now. But by the time people like me get old enough to draw it, yeah, we're going to be out of luck. Meanwhile, we're still pumping money into it. But they've IOU'd it to death, and there won't be anything there left for us unless they make some kind of a drastic turnaround. Okay? And of course, the Republicans' idea to that is to privatize Social Security. Excuse me. And to me, that is an absolutely horrendous idea. Horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible idea. Okay? Nonetheless, I won't even bring that one up because of the shape that it's in. But, okay, socialism ideas, big boogeyman, nobody likes them. So let's step back and examine them for a second, okay? Do you like having police around? Do you? Well, guess what? That whole concept technically comes from what you're deeming socialism, by taxes for this or that contributing to some product. So we have to raise your taxes for X. Technically, taxing in general, in a way, is kind of like socialism. You know, you're taking taxes from people to fund social programs. Police departments, fire departments, those are social programs. They're funded by tax dollars. And I like the fact we have police out watching our streets and looking for criminals and keeping us safe. Okay, take all that corrupt stuff. Just that, I don't even want to debate that. Not even going to get into that. Simply the fact we have police that if I need to call, they can respond. I like that idea. But when you examine the whole background of it, kind of has some socialism roots there. And you heard me mention the fire department. Same thing. Okay? You would be surprised if you actually go back and look into this country, even something like Medicare for all, for example. Ideas like that were floated going all the way back to Teddy Roosevelt. Way before McCarthyism and the communist scare. These concepts were being floated in this country. So again, I'm not a socialist. I think socialism has the perfect capability to get entirely out of control and crash country if it is not used properly. I do think there are some socialist ideas you can intertwine with a capitalist economy that, if done correctly, come out to a good system where the people who have to break their back and work to make a living aren't trampled all over in this country and they get a fair chance. So, that being said, just wanted to address that. For anyone out there who thinks that some of these ideas about trying to make American companies stay in line so that they're not just screwing American workers, shipping our jobs overseas or down to Mexico, and that the government getting involved to protect the worker, that's somehow some radical socialist concept. And if you want any more examples of just how intertwined socialism already is in this country, I invite you, go do your research. But if what I'm saying is socialism, in this instance, it's a socialist concept this country definitely needs. We don't need all socialist concept, but this one would actually really help the country fix the trade issues, produce jobs, and get good paying jobs, and not jobs that are going to be hard work and cheap labor that the people can't even make a living wage off of. That being said, if you got any comments you want to make about it, drop them in the box below. Hope you'll tune in next time. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Independent Report. If you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up and like the video. Also, if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to ask or topics you'd like us to cover, please drop a comment in the comment box below. And also, please subscribe to the channel. And if you do subscribe, ring that bell so you'll stay up to date when we drop new videos and you'll get notifications of it. And also, please support us on Patreon. Funds are going to be used to grow and improve this channel so we can reach more and more people and spread the message that the mainstream media doesn't want to tell people. We hope you'll tune in next time.